Hi, this is Mr. Nazarian. Our lesson objective today: I can solve word problems of adding and subtracting unlike fractions and check for reasonableness. 5th grade standard, numbers and fractions, A2. Jada went gold panning. Awesome. She found 1 1/5 pounds of gold. The next day, she found 3 1/4 pounds more. How much total gold did Jada find? All right, so as always with word problems, we're going to look first at, what's the question? How much total gold did Jada find? All right, so we want to know the total amount, which tells us that we are going to be using what kind of math operation for this, do you think? We want to find out the total amount of gold, and I should say we should look at the important information here. So she found 1 1/5 pounds. And then the next day she found 3 1/4 pounds. So what kind of math operation are we going to use for this? We're going to be adding them together, right? Because she found a big pile of gold, and then she found another big pile of gold, and we want to know how much total she found. So that means we are going to be adding 3 1/4 plus 1 1/5. So for me, I'm going to change this to improper fractions. So 3 times 4 is 12. So we got plus 1 is 13. So we got 13/4. And then 1 1/5 is the same as 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6/5. Okay. Can't add fourths and fifths, so I got to make them the same. So think about what's the lowest common multiple of 4 and 5, 4, 8, 12. None of these end in 5s or 0s. So no, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Oh, 20 ends with a 0 in the ones place, so that's going to work. So this is the same as something 20ths plus something 20ths, right? It's going to be the common multiple of 4 and 5. So I would change the 4 to a 20. I multiply it by 5. That means I have to multiply this top number by 5. 13 times 5. Well, 10 times 5 would be 50. And then 3 times 5 is 15. So 50 and 15 is 65. Okay. And then this 5, I multiply it by 4 to get 20, which means I have to multiply the top by 4 also. I have to do the same thing on the bottom and top. So 6 times 4 is 24. So that is going to give me 89, right? 89 20ths. And I can then change 89 20ths to what is a mixed number? What would 89 20ths be as a mixed number? Okay, so how many times does 20 go into 89? Well, 20 goes into 80 4 times, right? And then there'd be 9 left over. So 4 and 9 20ths. Okay, pounds of gold, right? So it's because it's not 4 and that looks like a 16, but that's a B. LB. LBS is pounds. All right, so 4 and 9/20 pounds would be how much gold Jada found total. Now, I'm going to check for reasonableness to make sure that this makes sense. So the first day she found 1 1/5. The second day she found 3 1/4. So each day this first day she found 1 pound and a little bit. The next day she found 3 pounds and a little bit. So I know it's going to be somewhere, it's going to be at the very least 4 pounds, right? Because I got 3 pounds and 1 pound. But then it's also going to be a little bit more than that because I have 1/5 and 1/4. So I've got 4 and a little bit, right? 4 and a fractional part. It could be all the way up to, 5 or a little bit more than 5, right? It could be anywhere between 4 and 6 would be reasonable. If it was less than 3 1/4, then I would say, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense because I'm adding these amounts together. So whatever total I find should be more than the larger amount, right? So anyway, so this would be reasonable. Okay, let's look at another one. Jonathan collected 4 1/2 kilograms of filberts. He gave 2 3/4 kilograms to his friend. How many kilograms of filberts does Jonathan have now? All right, so go ahead and solve for this problem. All right. So again, always going to look at question first. How many kilograms of filberts does Jonathan have now? All right. So I want to know how much he has when he's done giving. So then we're going to look at the important information. He collected 4.5 kilograms, and he gave 2 3/4 kilograms. Okay, that's really important, right? He didn't then collect another 2 3/4 kilograms. He gave away 2 3/4. So the how much he has now is how much he has after he's given away this amount from this original amount that he had. So that means I'm going to be using subtraction, right? I'm going to start with the amount that he has, that he's collected, 4 1/2. I'm going to take away 2 3/4. So, excuse me. I'm going to change these to improper fractions. So I've got 9 halves, right? Minus 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11 fourths, right? And again, I need to change these so they have the same denominator. Well, 4 and 2, I know that 4 is a multiple of 2, so I'm not going to have to change this one. I'm just going to change this. Change the 2 to a 4. I'm going to multiply by 2 to get a 4, right? Which means I have to do the same on top, multiply by 2. So that's going to be 18. And then I'm taking away 11 fourths. And that is going to give me 7 fourths, right? But then I want to change this back to a mixed number. So how many times does 4 go into 7? Well, it only goes in once, right? One whole time, because 2 times would be 8. Don't have that many. So one whole time would be 4 fourths, right? And then I'd have 3/4 left over. So it's 1 3/4 is how many kilograms of filberts Jonathan would have left over after he gave his friend a bunch. That was very generous of him. All right, we're going to work more on this. And checking for reasonableness. So I know that I'm going to have less than what I started off with, right? Because he's given a bunch of it away. And I have 4. I'm taking away 2. I should have, somewhere in the ballpark of 2. But the thing is, the amount that he has here, this fraction, this fractional part is less than this fractional part, right? 1/2 is less than 3/4. And I know that because 2/4 is less than 3/4. So I know that I'm going to have actually less than 2 left over. So that makes sense. And I can check also by adding 1 3/4 plus 2 3/4 and see if I add up with 4 and a half. Okay, so we'll work more on that tomorrow. See you then. Bye.